toxic maximalism comes from a place of love. It comes from not wanting to see people get screwed over. Like all of these shitcoins are closer to fiat than they are to Bitcoin. They have centralized issuers, they have insiders, they have outsiders, which is 99% of people. Bitcoin has no insiders, Bitcoin has no outsiders. Bitcoin is a protocol, and it is the only one that is truly tied to the real world. And so I think it's like, we maximalists need to continue beating that drum. That, look, I think everybody is free to buy whatever they want. You want a shitcoin, you want to trade, be my guest. I don't care what you do. It's none of my business. But when you start promoting that to other people, when you start trying to bring other people in on this grift, other people who I know are going to get rugged by you, shitcoin influencer, who just already got a bunch of whatever the new Sol token du jour happens to be deposited straight to your wallet, and now you're going out and shilling this just so you can dump it soon, Dave Portnoy. Like, I find that to be morally like reprehensible, but like morals aside, it's just a shitty thing to do to people. Like, it's a negative sum game. It's a, yeah, there's a positive for you, but only because you're extracting from others. And I think that's why Bitcoiners feel so empowered to talk about Bitcoin only, because you know that your mom, your dad, your sister, brother, cousins, friends, strangers on the internet, them stacking a little bit of Bitcoin, them setting up a DCA, that's not pumping your bags. Like, that is a tiny drop in a vast ocean of capital that is coming into Bitcoin. You're not promoting Bitcoin because you want to pump your own bags by another person buying, because you're not planning on selling, right? So you're promoting Bitcoin because you're doing it from a place of love. You're doing it because you want people to see the change that is happening. You want them to see that there is a phase shift happening, an inflection point that we are at right now. And if you manage to buy Bitcoin before the US government starts buying Bitcoin, that's fantastic. And you will be much better off in the long run. You'll still be okay if you start buying after, but you'll be a lot more okay if you start buying before. And so that's a long roundabout way of saying toxic maximalists are toxic because we care. Toxic maximalism is so damn important because it is a way of having an immune response to all of the garbage that tries to be associated with Bitcoin. Like, toxic maximalism comes from a place of love, ultimately. It comes from a place of empathy. It comes from a place of, I've probably been screwed by trying to mess around with shitcoins at some point in my Bitcoin journey. I don't want that for you, Bitcoiner. I would love if you could skip that phase, because it is only going to bring you some pain, decrease the amount of Bitcoin that you could have had. And I've made these mistakes. So why am I toxic? It is because I know what you're about to do, and it's not going to go how you think it is. And I think that it's people talk about purity tests and, like maxi purity tests and stuff like that. And for me, it's like being a toxic maximalist is just about focusing only on Bitcoin, ignoring the rest of crypto, trying to do your best to repeatedly remind people that yes, while Bitcoin is cryptocurrency, in fact, it's the original and really the only true cryptocurrency, it is not, quote, crypto. And we may seem like we're beating a dead horse with that sometimes, where it's like, okay, guys, don't you think people get it? But the answer is obviously no. Because even, prior to the executive order, you see somebody like Trump who's posting on Truth Social about, we're going to have XRP and ADA and SOL in our strategic asset stockpile. Half hour later, somebody on his team got to him clearly, and he's like, oh, and Bitcoin and Ether. I love Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it's like, okay, now the executive order is something completely different, and we can get into that later, like completely demarcated. But the point is that what happened, what did you see on social media after that came out? The initial post? You saw all these toxic Bitcoin maximalists rising up, that immune response was stimulated, and doing our best to shout from the mountaintops that, look, These are not the same thing. To put them in the same category reveals a lack of understanding or potential bad intentions.